Hey, what's up, Mental Health Nation? Hope everybody's having a great Columbus Day weekend. My weekend was pretty awesome. We went up to Balazzano, Italy. It's about a 6.5, 7 hour train ride. So I'm pretty tired. It is now midnight here in Napoli, Italy. So it's a late one for me, but hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to do the show even when you're tired or not tired. But before I jump into all that, of course, I have Bull with me tonight. Lynn is out doing something. I'm not too for sure. Did not hear from her, but it is the holiday weekend. So you know what? Sometimes you just got to go have fun and do whatever you got to do, right? But hey, up there in the right left-hand corner, you have the QR code for Reads Across America. It's a great organization, with what they do to ensure that those reads are on the tombstones of the veterans out there. And I'm really proud to be part of them. And so you can click on that QR code for as little as $5. You can donate. I know we had some people on the last podcast donate, and just to ensure that those reads now. Even though I'm in Italy, my home state is Virginia. I live in Manassas, Virginia, when I'm back in the United States. So with that, the museum that I'm attached to is Arlington National Cemetery. So just keep that in mind as you donate. But if they oversell Arlington Cemetery, they do ensure that wreaths are placed on all of those tombstones all across the United States and not just in Arlington. So it's perfectly fine. Your donation is going to be used. It's going to get a wreath and it's going to go on a tombstone. More than likely in Arlington, but maybe somewhere else in the United States. But hey, it doesn't really matter, right? It's a part of giving. Along with that, we got 10th Mountain. You guys do know I'm a big fan of 10th Mountain Bourbon. Anybody who comes and visit Italy, I will have some shipped to your house, and you will have to shuttle it over here for me. And well, you know what it is? You gotta have what you gotta like, right? You gotta have those little comforts of home, and that's something I'm going to talk about tonight on the Mental Health Warrior. Along with that, you got the Veterans Mortgage QR code down there, and then you have Paradise to PCS or PCS to Paradise, which you can pretty assure what that means is, hey, you retire and you're moving, you're getting out of the military, and you're going to PCS to your Paradise vacation. Maybe it's Italy. Maybe. You never know. But hey, listen, there's a lot of things going on in the world today, lots of news going on out there. We had the hurricanes come in. We had, Helena a couple of weeks ago. We had Milton hit the other day in Florida. If I got the names wrong, I'm sorry. I'm tired. I've been up for a long time. Been traveling on a train. But hey, to all those people that are affected by that, thoughts and prayers out to everybody affected with that. And then with the recovery period, we know that recovery can be very difficult for some. And, especially if you lost others or if you lost everything that you had. The road to recovery can be very hard. And just know that we all are here for you. There's a lot of organizations out there that will help you. Apparently not FEMA. And so, hey, just do your best and just live the best that you can. And sometimes all you can do is go second by second, minute by minute, and hour by hour. And that's maybe just the best thing that you can do. And that's with anything. It doesn't have to be from a natural disaster. That can be with recovery. That can be with anything that's going on that you're dealing with in your life. And, one thing I want to talk about is if you saw I didn't do a mental health break today, obviously, because I was traveling. And to be honest with you, I just kind of forgot about it. It slipped my mind. That's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. But if you watched my post the other day, we were leaving on Thursday to go to Bolzano, Italy. It's been planned for a while. We had a hotel. We got the train. The Affogola train station is never busy. You always get in there and you go right down. The trains are normally pretty precise on time. So, if you get there 10 minutes before, 15 minutes before, plenty of time, no problem. So we leave. We have about 30-minute leeway, which is normal. About 20 minutes by the time we get to the train station, because literally you get out of your car and you walk to your platform that you're traveling on. We pull up. There's a line of cars to get into the parking lot. Okay, that's not so unusual, right? Then we sit there for about 5 minutes, and I notice that the arm to go into the parking garage or the parking lot is not going up and down. And then there's a guy on the pole, I guess, trying to reset the Wi-Fi or whatever. Of course, now I'm starting to get a little bit agitated because now I've been looking forward to this trip for a long time. And now things are starting to go south, right? Nothing that I can control, but things are starting to go south. And so Crystal gets out of the car. She walks around. She goes into the train station. Of course, they act like they have no idea what's going on out there, if there's anything going on out there at all. And so now we're 5 minutes before the train comes. Okay. Getting a little agitated, getting a little irritated. I'm like, really? Can't reboot it, just can't open it and let people go through without getting a ticket. You can't just hand out the tickets. You're just doing nothing. And so I get a phone call. She says, hey, they said the guy's out there working on it. There's nothing else they can do. Great. Then all of a sudden, one car goes through. Okay, hey, maybe it's going to get fixed. The Wi-Fi is rebooting. The train now, I just got notified it's 10 minutes late, so we may have time. And then it shuts and nothing else goes through. So then I jump lanes into another lane, and I was able to get a ticket. Of course, now this is 15 minutes we're waiting. She said the train's not there yet. So me and Lloyd would pull around, and we just so happen we get a parking spot. We get in that parking spot. I told Lloyd before, I said, look, when I park, it's going to be full gone on go, right? Grab your stuff and hit it running, right? He's 10 years old. We'll grab stuff. We're going to hit it running, right? We grab our stuff. We get in there and we miss the train by 2 minutes. I kid you not. Okay, so now there's not so many trains going to Bolzano. That's way up in the Swiss Alps, way up north of Italy. We're way down in south of Italy. So we're literally going to travel all the way across Italy. Okay, so I'm irritated on that. I'm just kind of mad. Okay, so we're inside the tickets office, and they said, okay, we can rebook you with a train that leaves in 30 minutes. Now, our train was going to be a direct route. This one, we're going to have to make changes in Bologna, another town. Okay, and sure enough, it's a couple hours away. So we get on that train, and we're going, and everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, the train that we're on starts getting delayed. 3 minutes. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Then, hey, thanks for joining. Then we get to the second, right? And we have to change trains. So we have to go from the bottom to the top to change our trains to get to the other one. And would you not believe it that we missed the second train by 2 minutes? First one missed by 2 minutes, second one. So now I'm like all irritated. I'm just, my older brother calls me. This is very important. 0 by 4. And he said to me, he says, why are you agitated? What's your hurry? What does it matter when you arrive? You're on vacation. You're traveling with your family. What are you getting mad about? Why are you letting things that you can't control ruin your vacation time? And you know what? He was right. And so I had to step back. I stepped outside the train because now after we went in and figured out the tickets again, we're going to have to take another train. Well, that train's not coming for 2 hours. And so you know what? I just stepped outside. I stood in the sun for a little bit, and I just reset my mind. I'm thinking, you know what? He's right. I can't control what's going on. I did what I was supposed to do and for me to get to the travel point and stuff. But how many times when we're going on vacation or we're traveling or we're doing something and something like that happens and it changes your mindset and you get so angry and so upset that you can't enjoy the fact that you're not at work, you're not at home, you're doing something that you've been looking forward to doing. And yeah, you might arrive a little bit later, but you're too mad and infuriated and frustrated and upset and yelling and screaming and doing whatever the heck you're doing to realize why do that? And so I stepped back, we went back into the train station. I apologized for being a little irritated, and we sat down and had a cup of coffee and just people watched and relaxed and just enjoy it. Now, our train ride up there was supposed to be 6.5 hours. It took us a little over 10 hours to get to where we were going. So it turned into a very long day because the last train we could get on, we got on it. And it was a regional train. Now, this regional train, we had 17 stops before we got to Bolzano. So we was on that not so comfortable train. It was fine, but we was on it for a very long time and a lot of stops. But we made it to Bolzano and it was completely worth it. And we got to the hotel and everything was fine. We got up the next day and we had a great, wonderful day. I'll talk about it and show pictures. Next week about it. I'm gonna try to do my podcast live from kind of the restaurant that I've been working at. Next week, maybe on Thursday. My older brother flies in on Friday this week. And so we're going to go to Rome. I'm going to take him up to Rome and run him around Rome for a couple of days, then come back and try to do the podcast. So hopefully the podcast will be live, and then I'll show pictures. But one reason I wanted to go to Bolzano, and I don't know why it irritated me so much with all those things going wrong. But how many times does that happen with you? You're traveling, maybe you're doing something, and all of a sudden the universe just flips the script on you, and everything goes wrong. Literally everything goes wrong. And what can you do to make that change, right? What can you do to say, hey, it's not my fault. I can't control it. If you're traveling by air nowadays, there's chances are your plane's going to be delayed. There's chances it can be delay in security. There's chances of a delay anywhere. So what are you going to do to keep yourself from being irritated and mad and frustrated and pissed off and yelling and screaming about something that's not your fault and you can't control it? But just learn to enjoy the moment. I think the hardest thing that I had to do when I retired was learning when I travel. I was so wound up with work with travel, right? Anybody's been in the military and has traveled with the military, right? You travel, you go do your mission, you get it done, you go back home, right? You never have time to relax. You never have time to enjoy stuff. And one thing that I had to learn when I'm obviously retired from the military is doing just that, is doing relaxing and taking time. And as you guys know, I do speaking events. I do travel month of September, October through December, usually doing speaking events. And one thing I had to learn to do is if I was going somewhere interesting or somewhere I have never been before, it's okay for me to take a couple of days and go sightseeing and look around. That's something I never did before. I traveled to a speaking event when I retired, and I turn around and go back home. Why? Why did I have to do? Why did I have to keep that mindset? But it took me about a year to get out of that mindset. And I think sometimes for us, when we were in the military, you don't have to be in for as long as I did. I did 34 years. I don't care if you're in for 2 years. I don't care if you're in for 10 years or 15 years. When you get out or you're retired, you've been institutionalized to a point. And you have to learn to relive or remake your life because now it's different. It's changed. You no longer have somebody or something dictating your time. And in the military, your time is 24/7. And for people who haven't been in the military, who might be listening, don't understand that. Military, we run 24/7, and you may not always go 24/7. You may go 9 to 5, or and you may go 9 to 5 for a long time, or 8 to 4, or whatever your work hours are. Your core work hours. That means hours that somebody has to be manned doing whatever they're doing, and those are usually set hours. But that doesn't mean that your day's going to end when the core hour ends. Mission dictates how long you work or what you do, and so you're always waiting for that ball to drop or something else to happen, and then you're not able to go home when you're supposed to, and you had to continue your mission and do something else. Well, when you're no longer in that military, you don't have to worry about that no more. And then you have to learn how to fill your gaps of time. And when you're retired, like I am, of course, now I do a lot of things. I have the podcast, obviously, I'm sitting here talking to you today. Of course, I'm living in Italy as a dependent. I've taken Italian lessons now. I'm doing, I'm working at kind of restaurant a couple of days a week. Don't get paid for doing it. I volunteer there, but I enjoy it. It helps me learn the Italian language. It helps me learn authentic Italian cooking. And when I tell people about all these things that I do, they're like, wow, you're busy all the time. I mean, because I go to the gym, I play pickleball, I just try to fit in as much time as I can. But what am I doing? I'm filling those gaps in times that were already filled with me when I was in the military. Or you don't even have to be in the military. If you worked at a job for a long time, and that's something you always did for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and now you don't have that, you have to find something to fill those gaps in times, because if you don't, you're going to become depressed. You're going to find things that maybe not a good way to fill that time, and maybe you want to fill that time with drinking or something else. And so it's important to, hey, good evening. Seven. It's even dunkel. I gotta put my glasses on. Anyway, put my glasses on. Oh, it's even dunkel. Hey, guten Abend. Wie geht's? Um, and so you have to learn to feel those gaps in times, and those become very important. And you want to feel it in things that are constructive or things that you enjoy doing. And it's just like I talked to my older brother when he retired from being a superintendent. I said, you got to find something to feel that time or feel that sense of worth that now you don't have. And I think for a lot of people in the military, especially when they get out, this is hard. It's hard for them to do. And I've talked to many veterans out there that have struggled with this, and they're like, how did you make that transition? You make it seem like it was so easy, and I will tell you it's not easy to make that transition. It's and it's something that you have to look forward and finding something to do to fill those gaps. And it may take you a while to fill that. In the military, we're always go, 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 do it, now, got it, go. But when you're no longer in the service, you don't have that. And so it may take you a while to figure out, maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to, work on your car that you've had sitting in the driver for a long time and never just had the time. And now you have the time to work on it, to fix it, to do something. And so what you need to do is take that time to do it. And I think for a lot of us, we never give ourselves that time, and because of that, and we don't allow ourselves that time, sometimes it can make us, have depression and other things, because now, we're sitting around thinking about all those things that we used to do that we're not doing. There's no reason why, if you're not in the military no more and you wouldn't go on FTX, go take yourself out camping. There's things you can do that's similar to the military that you don't have to be in the military to do. You call up your buddies and have a meeting. It's at the local bar, but you can call your buddies up and have a meeting. There's always things you can do and things you can figure out. Go make new friends. I was in Bolzano. I made new friends. Of course, that Bolzano is pretty interesting. And because if you look at the history of it, where it was, it's very heavy German. And of course, they speak German, they speak Italiano, and of course, they speak English up there. I think it's about a 50-30 some odd split between native Italian speakers and native German speakers. But the culture up there, based on the culture here where I live in Napoli, is completely different. Here in Napoli, they talk with their hands and have the gestures, and they're very loud, and they're very boisterous, but they're very, happy people, and they're very, it's just everything's very fluid and moves very quickly. And when you go up to Bolzano, even though you're still in Italy, it feels very much like you're in Germany, because it's a mix now of German Italian food. It's not just solely Italian food. And so you have the sausages and the Wiener Schnitzels. You have the Bratkartoffeln. So you have all those kind of typical German foods, but some of it's mixed in with Italian foods. And so it's a little bit different to the emerging culture. Of course, then if you learn about the history of the area up there, it becomes really interesting. And so we went up there and saw that. And then in Bolzano, one thing that they have, and the reason why we went up there is, if you remember back in 1991, not too far from Bolzano, they found a very important discovery of a hiker who was frozen in the ice, who they thought had died in an accident a couple hundred years ago. And it happened to be Otzi, the Iceman. He was over 5,300 years old. And so that museum is in Bolzano, along with his body on display. Now, pictures aren't allowed to be taken there. And yes, I love schnitzel and I love German beer. And yes, I think in November, we're planning on going to Germany. And so they have the museum there, and it's really interesting to go in and look at, I didn't realize how much artifacts they found with him that when they started excavating the site over the years that they found with him, and some of it was the best preserved things from the Copper Age. And it's just a totally amazing museum. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google the Iceman or Otzi, Otiz, and it'll come up and it'll show you where the museum is. But it was a very well put together museum, very informational museum. My 10-year-old son, we bought him the audio for kids, and he just spent so much time in there reading and learning about how they made their tools, how they hunted, what did they eat. And then you got to there's not a lot of photos taken the area where Ati actually is. And so you're not allowed to take photos, but you can go in there. Of course, he's on ice in a special room, and they have a small window, and you can actually go there and see his actual body that you've seen the pictures of 1,000 times all over the internet. And you can actually view him. And actually, I went back and looked at the body 3 times because I was pretty amazed over the fact that you could still see the tattoos on him that was made. And then they found out that the tattoos really weren't tattoos. They were acupuncture points for pain. And then he had arthritis in those areas or injuries in those areas. And I think maybe that was their way of helping with pain during that time frame. And it's just amazing how his clothing, how he was dressed, how he was protected from the elements and being that high up in the mountains. This is up in the beginning of the Swiss Alps, and was able to survive, and how he, where they know where he grew up from. They knew what area that he was born in, then where he migrated to. And for his age, he was 45 years, plus or minus 5 years, they say. So he was, pretty old for the Copper Age to still be alive. But it's just amazing to see how people back then were able to live and survive and do the things that they do. And so, if you ever get a chance, go there, visit. It's very walkable around there. Of course, they get skiing in the wintertime. There's just a whole lot of things to do there in Bolzano, Italy, and you spell that Bolzano, just how it sounds. Italy, you can just Google it and it'll come up. But it's a great place to visit. It's not a big touristy area, which it is, but it isn't. It's not like Milan or Florence or Venice or places like that. We try to go to the offbeat places because we enjoy those a little bit more. Because there's nothing wrong with visiting those places. We just want to go to the other places, right? Italy's a very big country and lots to see. Europe in itself is very big with so much history and so many things to see. You can spend so much time here doing it. But to me, you guys all know I'm a big gardener. I'm all big into, natural stuff and kind of doing things the old way with making medicines and stuff. And it was interesting to see, the birch fungus and some other things that he carried with him that was actually a natural antibiotic. And they knew that back then. And then you wonder, how did they figure that out, that this white ball thing growing out, or a dark thing growing outside of a tree, can help treat my wounds and heal me? And it's actually a pretty powerful antibiotic. Most people don't know oregano is a powerful antibiotic, or garlic is. You just think you have to go to the doctor and get tetracycline or something else, but there's natural forms of antibiotics. And we talked about that some last week when we got into talking about natural healing and other ways that you can heal your body outside of modern medicine. Not that there's anything wrong with modern medicine. I said that before, but I'll tell you right now, for any type of pill that they've made, there's a plant out there that did it, that they derived and synthetic from that plant. And for me personally, I prefer taking things naturally and not so much synthetic anymore. I don't take any medications from the doctor. Now those are conversations and things that I talk with my doctor over the years, and now I don't take any medications or anything. But that's something I worked with my doctor, functional doctor, and other doctors in order. Not that I took a lot of medication anyway, but I don't take any medications. I go to the natural route always first, and then if that doesn't work, and then obviously I will go to the doctor and get help. Because I think it's just a combination of, right. It's just like with mental health, and when you have PTSD or have other issues, there's not just one thing's going to fix it. And I talk about that. You have to have multiple ways of fixing your mental health when you're having issues and problems. And I think we get so focused on thinking that we just have to have it. We got to do it this way, or we have to do it that way. And if it doesn't work this way or that way, then we get upset or we get stressed out or we think that we're failing when actually in reality you're probably being successful, right? And that's why you need to look at and know that you have a whole bunch of tools in your toolbox. I talk about this all the time because I was aviation for a long time. We got different kinds of tools. We make tools because working on aircrafts are very difficult. Every time you work on aircraft, you want to punch an engineer because obviously they don't work on this shit. Just the same as working on your car, right? They got that one bolt or that one thing, and clearly, the person that designed it has never fixed that area or been in that area to fix it, right? And so it gets very frustrating. The same thing with mental health. When you have PTSD, you have mental health issues. It's hard to figure out, or it's hard to know which tool's gonna work or fit or help you get past that point. And so you need to have multiple tools in your toolbox. And so, you need to find out what's works best for you. Now, I try to give as many different tips and helpful hints as I can. Exercise is big, nutrition's big, changing your room, your environment, going out and doing something different, just like the trip that we took to Bolzano over the 5-day weekend my son had. It's very late here. It's about 12:30 at night. I could have easily said, I blew the podcast off and went to bed and not done it. Wade done it tomorrow, the next day. But that what would I be doing for my listeners out there who listen both here and on the radio show? But also, it would have bothered me. It would have bothered me too much that I didn't take the time to do the podcast, because to be honest with you, on the train home, I thought about what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to portray. Because anytime you go out and see something different, you're going to learn something new. And, it's just like with me in traveling, when I was so mad and so upset and so pissed off over the fact that, we were going to be delayed. We missed the train. We might have to wait and leave tomorrow. Now I'm going to miss a day. Now I only got 4 days to do stuff. And, how your thinking just snowballs, right? And it starts out as a little one. It gets bigger, bigger, and bigger unless you stop it. And then, of course, my brother helped me kind of pull my head out of my 4-point of contact and have me look at things a little bit differently and say, hey, you're right. I don't need to be upset or mad. And so if you're going through recovery, you're going through mental health issues, just know it's okay to have setbacks. Just know it's okay to have everything in your world crash. And just know that that's okay. And Seven says he lives in Horken Forest. Where's that at? Is that in southern Germany or northern Germany? Let me know what that is. I know there's a lot of bunker tours there, and lots of castles and churches. So let us know what exactly that is and send a link. And so if somebody is interested, they can check that out. Sven, thanks for sharing. Get out and see your area. I guarantee you there's places around where you live that you haven't seen or visited. There's a lot of history no matter where you're at in the world, and get out and look at it. And I just lost my train of thought, but it'll come back to me here in a second. And so it's important to realize and important to have those tools in your toolbox. You can start journaling, you can write stuff, you can, use the mental health app, EarKick. I talk about it all the time, EARKICK. You can have your little friend here, like I got Bull. He helps me do videos. Hey, it's about time you mentioned me. I've been laying out here all this whole time, goofing off. I know I'm a horrible ventriloquist, but I never claimed to be a good one, so it's okay. You have to learn how to laugh at yourself. You have to learn how to joke around. You have to learn how to enjoy life. And, it's your life. I think sometimes we get too wrapped up in thinking that I have to live my life like so-and-so or like this person over here. And because I'm not, that means my life is not right or not good. And so why compare your life to somebody else? Everybody's life has up and downs. Everybody's life has issues and problems. Find what makes you happy. Find your happy spot. Find the area and the space that you operate in that makes you happy. Is it going to car shows? Is it working on cars? Is it playing video games? You guys all know I love playing video games. Is it going to yoga? I also love doing yoga. Is it having a podcast? Is it doing speaking events? Is it, I didn't talk about my book. I'm horrible about talking my book, but my book's still available. Is it writing a book? Is it reading books? Is it, learning a new language? Is it learning something new? So try to find ways to rethink your brain, right? And just like my good friend Chris, who was on, and then I was on his podcast, conversations with Chris. I have a TBI. He had a TBI coming out of the Air Force, and then he was in a horrible car wreck. And now he's fighting a second TBI and some spinal injuries. But yet he's trying to stay positive and focus with his recovery. And so there's always ways and forms of trying to find yourself again, or try to find a different thing to make you feel better, or do something that brings you joy, or no matter what it is. I don't care if it's scratching on a piece of paper and making triangles and squares with it. I don't know if it brings you joy at that moment. Does it really matter? Watching Family Guy on TV, or Rick and Morty, or something silly. I like watching cartoons because I don't have to think about anything. It just takes my mind off stuff, or calling a friend or a buddy. It's we're into October now. We got to check on your buddy week coming up next week. There's a whole lot of things going on, and it's a change of the season. And we know that statistically, with the change of the seasons, that it can affect, yourself both mentally and physically with it. Because if you're stuck in a rut, or if you're not changing, and now the seasons are changing and you're not changing, that can be a very stressful time. And just know you may have to find something to do differently to change it. Just like me, right? It seemed like no matter what I did, we were always 2 minutes late for the next train, and we're going to have to wait hours for the next train. And it's going to take hours to get there. It just kept dragging on and on and on. Oh my gosh, when it's going to stop? You're killing. And then I realized I was on vacation. And then I had to stop acting like that, or stop the snowball effect that your mind has and what you're thinking and what you're going through. And so if you're going through recovery, and you always seem to take one step forward and 2 steps back, right? And I've been there. And anybody listening out there who has PTSD or other issues, you know what I'm talking about. And it can never seem to break that, right? You always seem to be going really good, and all of a sudden, bam, the door slams on you, And so how do you change that? How do you change that, or flip the switch to now you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back? And really what that's going to have to boil down to is you looking at yourself inside and see what you can do to make the changes, because something inherently that you're not facing or you're not talking about that's keeping you from moving forward in your recovery. And so you need to do that. You need to look at that. You need to see what that is. And maybe, hey, Swin said DM him, and he'll give you any information you want to know about his little town there in Germany, and appreciate that. But, look at what you need to do and try to make changes. I know with my recovery and what I've gone through, it just seems like it just took, time to, try to get that recovery and try to, make things different in my life and make things better. And so just try that. If you've always go down the same road and that road never changes, we'll go down a different road and maybe things will get better. And I know it will, because I'm seeing proof of it. So is Bull here. Bull can agree to that. So, hey, listen, it's not quite the exciting podcast it normally is. Next week, I hope hopefully do a live show. I think it'll be good. But once again, keep in mind that my book is available. The Mental Health Warriors is available on our website at cliffordballman.com. You can go there and find it. I don't have my green screen up, but I'll have it up. No, next week I may be doing a live show. So no green screen that week. But hey, with that, you got the QR code up there on the left. You can scan that with your phone for Reads Across America. Like I said earlier on, it's a huge, important program where they ensure that those reads are placed on the veterans, and you can donate as little as $5. But along with that, Reads Across America Radio replays my podcast at 8 p.m. on Fridays and 10 p.m. on Sundays. It's super easy to find. You just download your iHeartRadio app, your TuneIn app, or your Odyssey app, and search for Wreath Across America Radio, and you can listen to my great podcast, but all the great podcasts that they have. And then once again, you have the 10th Mountain Whiskey up there, and then you have Veterans Mortgage, and then also PCS to Paradise, all those QR codes you can scan. And all those organizations, all those businesses, they'll help out with our mission here at Veterans Trash Talk. And then, of course, I'm wearing Quit Being a Trigger Pansy. That is our most famous shirt. You can go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. You can order those t-shirts. They're extremely popular. The holiday season's coming up to make great conversation starters, especially with family events, and especially if their family comes from different political parties. And I won't say which, but you can guess that they probably will be triggered by a t-shirt, and then you can laugh at them and say, why does a t-shirt trigger you? It's just a t-shirt. But hey, with that, everybody, hope everybody had a great Columbus Day weekend. I hope you enjoyed spending time with your family and friends. And I hope that everybody has a safe and wonderful week at work, or a wonderful week with whatever you're doing. And just remember that we are our brothers and sisters keepers. So let's take a little extra time and text that friend or buddy and just to see how they're doing.